Quick, grab her. She mustn't escape. She's heading for the window. Take hold before she alerts someone. Good. Now quickly, open her mouth. She must imbibe this potion. Hold her still. Hold her still. Close her nostrils. Cover her mouth. Now, young miss, you will swallow this potion, or your breath shall fail you. Good. Well done. Quickly, now tie her up and cover her. We must make haste. I believe the shouting outside is the call for the guard. Ah, you're coming too. Welcome back to the land of the living. I only meant that metaphorically, don't worry. You haven't died. High Summoner Threst made it very clear you were to arrive alive and unscathed. Hold now, do not struggle. Should you thrash too much, my servant here may drop you, and that would only mean you'd have to be dragged instead of carried to our destination. Where are we? We are in the Trindale Forest, heading north towards the Urbanger Mountains. What do I want? Well, to be honest, I want nothing to do with you. I know nothing about you. My master, on the other hand, has requested you be brought to her with due haste. I am complying. Ah, you noticed. Yes, my thrall is a skeleton. He was once a great warrior, part of the reason for his enlarged frame. I am a necromancer. You have guessed correctly. Are you to be... No, I do not think you will be killed. If it were so, I wouldn't have had to have performed such a risky procedure, extracting you from a town so disillusioned with necromancy. If they truly wanted you dead, I assume they would have just sent a flesh golem. What is my name? Xylith, if you must know. No, I do not know what my master intends for you. She is ever cryptic in her requests, but she is also the closest to Zarenthal. As well, she is the greatest in will and power amongst us. I have not yet cause to doubt her. Ah, Zarenthal. He is our great one. Many of our brothers and sisters believe him to be a deity. Although I am not sure of this, I cannot deny his knowledge and power. Who is High Summoner Thress? She is a necromancer, like me. She is the one who found Zarenthal as she wandered the lower levels of death. It is said that he guided her back to life, and all he asked in return was to use her as a vessel with which to pass the gates of death. What does he look like? That is an odd question. I have only seen him a few times. He is mostly seen with High Summoner Thress. Rarely does he leave her side, but from what I've seen, he appears to be a being of light, humanoid in shape, with long arms, no legs, an elongated neck with a head that comes to a point in the back. Mostly, I remember his eyes, piercing and yellow with pupils like that of a goat. Why do you look so dismayed? You knew a being that looked like how I described Zarenthal? This being attacked your village when you were young? No, it is okay. We have plenty of time, and I am curious. You saw it? We were at school, approaching your village. A being of light, with yellow goat-like eyes. It started to eat them? You ran then. Your whole village? Fleeing? Oh, that is grave. You went to your home. You thought your father could protect you. He was a necromancer then? Oh, you are unsure. When you got home and looked behind you, you realized you were being followed? What happened? Your father gave you a bell and told you to ring it when the thing came close, then covered your ears. What happened then? When you rang it, you watched as the being writhed and then faded away. By the depths, that must have been a mortis spell. I have heard tale. All who hear it are called to the waters of death. There they are bound to stay until released, or they pass through the final gate. Oh, but your father, he could only protect your ears. I am sorry for your loss. What you say cannot be. Zarenthal is a benevolent being. He has granted strength and ability to our society. I have become a more powerful necromancer than I ever was under his society's mastery. Well, no, I do not know of any other beings of that description. This is troubling indeed, but it would explain why he was looking for you specifically. Other than being intelligent and attractive, I have noticed nothing magical about you. Oh, no, I didn't say that. You must have misheard. That's right. Must have been a trick of the mind. Is there anything else you would like to know? It is a 3 days journey to the mountains where the followers of Zarenthal reside. Me? You wish to know how I became a necromancer? Well, I suppose it was like any other. As a youth, I wanted to gain power over death. My mother missed my father very much. He had died when I was very young in a boating accident. Called upon in her grief to take full financial responsibility for me, she did, doing whatever odd job she could for whoever would pay her to do something for them. I didn't understand at first the toll it was taking on her, until one night I arose from my bed to go to my mother. I had had a nightmare and desired her comfort, but when I looked in the other room of the abandoned hovel we resided in, I saw her hunched over a painting her and my father had commissioned when they were just married. Listening then, I heard her crying. I heard her wishing he would come back, telling him how hard things had been since he had gone, telling him her woes over the things she had to do to feed their son. I did not enter that room. I realized then what a burden I was to her. How incessant my petty complaints had been when all she was trying to do was get bread on the table. I determined then and there to bring him back, to save my mother from this heartache. My youth and then teenage years were spent finding, acquiring, and learning as much as I could, purchasing forbidden scrolls with the money I would get from shoe cleaning, starving myself in the process, for that money was to be used to feed myself while my mother went about her work. But I told myself it would all be worth it in the end. In my obsession, I forgot something very important, though. It was on the eve of our family's 20th anniversary. I did not come home to my mother like I had promised that day. I had heard news of a man who had come into town looking to sell a book rumored to contain dark secrets. I found the man, and I was able to purchase his book. And I was reading it on my way through the front door when I found it. The body of my mother, hanging from the rafters. I tried to cut her down, but it was too late. I had failed her. Then it occurred to me, all these things I had been learning, I could put them to use. Focusing, I performed the rites and willed my spirit from me into the waters of death. Much to my dismay, I could not see my mother anywhere. I called and called for her, stumbling in these unfamiliar and cold waters. pulling on my ankles, drawing me towards the great fog wall that is the first gate. Like a river, the waters of death seek to pull the spirits of the deceased to their final destination. I have learned that there are at least 6 precincts in death, each more difficult to escape than the last, each with a gate that leads deeper into death. Unable to find her, I followed the flow and foolishly marched through to the 2nd precinct. The current was stronger here, the water swirling around my knees. It was so cold. I wanted to let it take me where it willed. I started to wonder, what was I here for again? Where was I going? The water seemed to answer both my questions. I was here to head to the next gate. I would find what I was looking for through there. I would find peace. I obeyed the feeling in my head. What reason did I have to doubt it? That's when a hand gripped my arm. I turned, and there was my mother, furious, tears streaming down her face. "Xylith," she said, "you turn around this instant. This is not your fate. I know it." Her words confused me at the time. Didn't she understand? This gate in front of me was where I was supposed to be. Couldn't she hear the water? She started pulling on my arm. I followed her pull. I couldn't even say why. There was something at the back of my mind, a distant recognition. Something wasn't right. She pulled me against the current I had just a moment ago been so unable to fight against, even if I wanted to. But with her strength seeming to flow into me, my legs found purchase and marched with this woman all the way back to the gate, to the 1st precinct. She looked so drained then. It must have been a great effort to drag both me and her all this way. She held me then, by the shoulders, looked me in the eyes, her vigor steadily draining from her face. "To escape, you must recite the rite and remember your body. I love you, Xylith. Please, live on where I could not." She pushed me through the fog then, and I was back in the shallow water of the 1st precinct. I wandered for a bit after that, confused and somehow sad, though I couldn't remember why. Suddenly, the words of my mother came back to me, ringing like a bell of clarity in this land of fog and forget, and in one last effort of concentration, I spoke the words, made the symbol, and remembered the body that seemed so foreign and strange. I woke up. From that day on, I have worked as hard as I can to become the strongest necromancer I can become. I would never leave another behind. I would break the bonds of death. I would be the one who could bring back those that I love. Thank you. Your words are very kind. I would not know many people that would be so compassionate to their captor. And thank you for listening. I do not know why Tress and Zarenthal want you, but I hope it's not to do you any harm. I must think on things. It's getting late. We should set up camp. Thrall, set her down. Untie her feet. You look cold. Here, have my coat. Oh no, I am used to the cold. We never had enough money for much more than cooking wood when I was growing up. I'll be fine. Besides, it's not that often I come across someone as good-hearted as you. Oh, sorry. I don't mean to make you uncomfortable. I will go lay down over there. My thralls laid out a sleeping mat for you. Please, rest. I imagine there's still some lingering effects from the potion. No, I only packed one. Truly, you are kind, but I'll be fine without. I need some time alone with my thoughts anyway. Please sleep well. I will see you in the morning.